According to the Continental Congress, September 2nd, 1776, the name of the Almighty on the Denmark coin was official currency in the United States of America. But it's not the only coin that has the name of the Almighty. Is that right, Nehemiah?
Michael, it turns out that at this period in history, there were hundreds of coins and medals and what's called jetons that were produced by kings and princes particularly in Western Europe, Northwestern Europe, with the name of Jehovah on it. One of the most exciting of them to me, Michael, is this commemorative silver medal coin that was produced after what was called the Peace of Westphalia. Now, for our audience, if you haven't heard of the Peace of Westphalia, if you know any peace treaty in history, this is probably the most important peace treaty for Western civilization. What had happened is the Protestant Reformation begins in October 1517. Martin Luther, he nails the 95 Theses to the church in Wittenberg, and then all hell breaks loose. The Protestants and Catholic countries go to war, and they fight for over 100 years. Some historians say that as many as half of Europeans were killed in this war. I mean, this war went on. There was actually several sub-wars. One was called the 30 Years' War, the 80 Years' War. But this went on really for over 100 years, this killing back and forth. It was a disaster. It was really the equivalent of World War I of the time, right? But for Europe. And at the end of this just bloodbath of killing each other over being Catholic and Protestant and Calvinist and Lutheran, right? It was all kinds of people killing all kinds of other people over religion. They get together in a place called Westphalia, and they hammer out a peace treaty. And one of the central principles of Western civilization is in this peace treaty. I mean, really, in a sense, this is the beginning of the modern world, the Peace of Westphalia, because it establishes, the Europeans establish, we will never go to war over religion again. They say the wars of religion are over, and there's this beautiful coin. We can show the people here what it looks like. This beautiful silver coin produced to commemorate the Peace of Westphalia, and you see three hands coming together representing the friendship and peace of the European powers. And what do we see at the top of this coin? In whose name and under whose auspices do they make this peace? Under the name Yehovah, in Hebrew, with the full vowels, Yehovah.
Incredible.
And it's essentially the equivalent of what we would say today, I'm going to swear on a stack of Bibles. The European powers minting this coin were saying, we're not going to fight over religion again. And I got to say, the Europeans have been pretty good about it. There have been a few exceptions. Famously in Ireland, there were what they call the Troubles, and there were wars in Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia, over religion. But other than that, think about that twice, and the wars over other things, right? But specifically over religious sectarianism, there has not been a major war in Europe for 400 years. That's a really big deal. Some people have said that, oh boy, I don't know if I should go into this politics side of it, but there's another religion out there that is carrying out wars and killing people left and right. Hundreds of thousands of people in the last few years. And it's often said, well, they're unique and uniquely warlike people, uniquely warlike religion. And as somebody who studies history, I'm not convinced of that. I just think they haven't matured to the point where they've had their Peace of Westphalia. So this really is the foundation of Western civilization, of the modern world, that we can say, look, we can disagree, we can have misunderstandings, we can dislike each other, but we're not going to go to war over whether you're a Protestant or a Catholic. And it took them a little bit longer for the Jews to be included in that, right? But it was a good start, okay? And eventually it did include the Jews. And it was done under the name of Yehovah. And Michael, this to me is such a powerful symbol, this coin with Yehovah's name on it, because it represents, like I said, hundreds of coins in Europe that were made at this time, in this period, over a period of several hundred years with Yehovah's name. But there's another spirit in Europe at the time. And this other spirit is something we actually see in the writings of Martin Luther. Now, Martin Luther started out when his Reformation against the Catholic Church, and he loved the Jews. But within a period of about 10 years, he turned against the Jews when he saw he wasn't successful in converting them to Lutheranism, and hated them with just a vicious hatred. And part of hating the Jews was hating the name of the God of the Jews. I learned about this, Michael, a few years ago. It was the 500th anniversary in 2017 of Martin Luther's 500 Theses, 95 Theses, and I was speaking to this fellowship of Protestants and Catholics who were coming together to try to hash this out and what it meant for them. And one of the things they told me about is something I'd never really heard about before, which is the Judenschau. The Judenschau is this motif in European art, if you can call it art. And it's the opposite of the motif in European art that has the name of Jehovah in the clouds with light coming to the world from his name. So the Judenschau is a pig, a female pig. And let me read you how Martin Luther himself describes this in 1543.
Yeah, I've seen that image, but
I'm
I
actually
did
going
not
to show it to the people here.
Okay. I did not see this inscription. I had no idea how Martin Luther was handling this thing.
Right.
And we know that Martin Luther, he drowned 200 Anabaptists because, we have to face it. He didn't die as a Lutheran. Luther died as a Catholic priest.
Really?
And sprinkling was the way that the Catholics did baptism. Well, the Anabaptists, they were convinced in immersion, as the Hebrew mikveh. And they were convinced of that, and he literally drowned them. He killed over 200 of them. Wow. And then he comes after and so what you read from Martin Luther, it's shocking, but it doesn't surprise me knowing his background.
Now, what the people can see here is a Judenschau, and not just any Judenschau. This is a statue, a carving that's actually in the church where Martin Luther was a pastor. There were two major churches in Wittenberg at the time. The one, the cathedral where he hammered the 95 Theses to, and the other church where he was the pastor. And in the other church,
he nailed the theses on the church that he wasn't the pastor of.
Right, well, I guess they didn't accept him there. And this statue wasn't built by Martin Luther. It had been there for about 200 years at the time. And he describes it in his book, and I'll tell you later the name of the book written in 1543. He says, here on our church in Wittenberg, a sow, meaning a female pig, is sculpted in stone. Young pigs and Jews lie suckling under her, meaning they're suckling at the teats of a pig. Nothing could be more offensive to a Jew.
Right.
Think about it. For a Jew, who the pig is a symbol for the Jew of persecution, of suffering, of being murdered by the Greeks in the time of the Maccabees, of Hanukkah.
Yeah, and Antiochus.
You could go to secular Jews today in Israel who don't believe in God, and most of them still won't eat pig. And if you ask them why, they say this is the symbol of our people being murdered. Mm-hmm. Right? They might eat shellfish because they're not religious and don't believe in God. But most Jews in Israel that I know who are even secular won't eat the pig. And here they're portraying Jews as suckling from the teats of a pig. He says, behind the sow, a rabbi is bent over the sow, lifting up her right leg, holding her tail high, and looking intensely under her tail and into her Talmud. And guys, you can see here in the image, when he says under her tail, he's looking inside the intestines of the pig. I'll use that euphemism. You get the point. And then it says, as though he were reading something acute or extraordinary. This is the rabbi looking inside the intestines of the pig, which is certainly where they get their Shem HaMeforash. Michael, Shem HaMeforash is the Hebrew phrase. Shem means name, and HaMeforash means the explicit. Shem HaMeforash is what Jews in Hebrew call the Tetragrammaton. It's what we call the name Yehovah. The name Yehovah in Hebrew is referred to as Shem HaMeforash. And at the top of the Judenschau, this isn't just Martin Luther's opinion, it actually says in German, Shem HaMeforash, the explicit name. So here Martin Luther is talking about, at the same time there are European princes fighting over this name, fighting under the banner of the name, let's put it that way, and putting it on their coins and honoring it. At that very same time in history, you have Martin Luther, who maybe doesn't even fully understand what he's saying, calling the name Yehovah something read out of the intestines of a pig by a rabbi. Nothing could be more offensive to me as a Jew.
Yeah.
This beautiful, honorable, glorious name of Yehovah, and he's saying that the Jews know what that is, because they read it out of the pigs' intestines. And you know, I got to say, Michael.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I got to say, I did this study. 10 rabbis speak out on the name, and I show that there's 10 and now even more, 19 rabbis as of this recording, who say that the vowels are Yehovah. This is the name of the creator of the universe and the true pronunciation. Some of them say that's what it was in the temple, and others say that's what it will be when the Messiah comes. It will mean the Messianic era in the kingdom, that it will be pronounced as Yehovah. We have these rabbis saying this, and then there's this spirit against that name, the spirit of Martin Luther, who says that comes from the Jewish Talmud. We don't trust that from the Jewish sources. We don't trust this name from the Jewish manuscripts. It's the Judenschau spirit. It's the spirit to demonize the Jews. I mean, literally in many cases. To present Yehovah's name as this abomination, when really it's the glorious name that was prophesied about in Malachi that would be great among the nations, the name that would be honored throughout the nations, that would, there's the verse in Amos 9 that maybe we'll get to in the next episode. I want to talk about that because that can I bring it now real quick? Amos 9.
Go ahead. It just hits me that for anyone now with understanding that, who would ever want to call themselves a Lutheran? Understand the background of what was going on.
I don't want to knock
with that.
Lutherans, because the Lutheran World Federation, their official body in the 1970s, apologized for the anti-Semitism of Martin Luther. Openly said, we acknowledge, I'm paraphrasing their words, but my understanding of what they said is we acknowledge that what Martin Luther taught, because he wrote a book called The Jews and Their Lies,
right.
And he set out a 10-point plan there that was then implemented by the Nazis. So the Lutheran World Federation did some soul searching, and they said, we have to denounce the anti-Semitism of Martin Luther. He's our founder. We agree with the basic principle that he was teaching, but whatever he taught about the Jews, we denounce that. So I want to give them credit for that and acknowledge that.
All right.
But here's the prophecy of Amos 9:11. It says, Bayom hahu, on that day, akim et sukat David hanofelet. I will raise up the fallen tabernacle of David. And I'm going to let you talk about that. You're going to let me talk about that next time.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to hold you back because I want to get to something else here.
Okay, all right.
V'gadauti et pirtsehen, and I will fence in the broken breaches, v'harisotavakim, and its ruins I will raise up, ubinitia kimei olam, and I will build her as the days of old. Leman Yelshuat She'erit Edom v'chol hagoyim. In order, here's what it literally says in Hebrew. This is quoted in Acts, and we'll talk about that next. Maybe we can start talking about it now. I don't know. Leman Yelshuat She'erit Edom v'chol hagoyim. Literally, in order that they will inherit the remnant of Edom and all the nations. Asher nikra shmi alehem, that my name is called upon them, says Yehovah, who does this. So here we have a prophecy of the nations who are being absorbed into Israel, right? The word there is inherit, right? And some Jews have misunderstood this and said they're going to be conquered. No. They're going to be absorbed into, grafted in.
In.
The word is v'nivrechu in Genesis. We can talk about that if we have time. They're going to be absorbed into Israel, into the covenant with God. Edom and all the nations that my name is called upon them. And here we have the coin of King Christian IV and hundreds of other coins produced by Europeans in this period throughout Europe, even in some Catholic countries. I had somebody who went to a number of people who went to the Palace of Versailles and came back and showed me, look, Yehovah's name is in the chapel at the Palace of Versailles,
That's right.
Which was a Catholic country at the time, right? So it wasn't just Protestants. It was people who were searching for the God of Israel the best they could and the best they knew how, offering incense, doing what they knew how to do. And Yehovah refers to those people as the nations that my name is called upon them. They will be absorbed into his covenant, into his people, according to Amos. I mean, yes, it's quoted in the New Testament, but Amos says it. This is a Tanakh message, that this is a message for all mankind. And I feel like we have to jump to to Acts 15 and talk about the context here.
Okay.
Because there's so many things, directions I want to go with this, and we don't even have time to.
All right, but we have to say something here. I have to say something because what we're going to do at Passover, the opening of Passover, what we're going to do is get into the discovery you made in the Elephantine
Papyri. Right. Guys, I discovered, and I'm getting so excited, I'm shaking, thinking, just, you brought this up. And look, it wasn't actually my discovery. It was buried in this journal article that some professor had written in the 1960s. And I just ran into this professor somewhere and was talking with him. And he just in passing mentions that there were Gentiles 2,500 years ago who were living according to the Torah, keeping Shabbat. And I said, what? What? Is this your opinion? Is this your theory? Because professors do that. They have opinions and theories. He said, no, it's written in a papyrus.
Oh, okay. Now, all right. I'm going to have you do this. We're going to do this for the opening of Passover this year.
We can share this actual information.
Yeah, actually show that very stuff. We talked about this a few months ago. When you told me this, it was like, this is breaking. This is breaking because this is an ancient prophecy come to pass. And you actually are going to show how 200 years after Isaiah prophesied this is actually what's taking place. And you say you have the archaeological evidence of this very thing.
We have it written on papyrus from ancient Egypt. We can show you the documents. We can show.
We're going to wait for Passover because we've got a lot more that we're going to do at Passover. We're going to do stuff in the gospel.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
Okay. All right. Go back.
We're going to share something really exciting, something we've been working on.
All right.
And I really want to share it for Passover. Look, the reason I want to share it for Passover is really because, this is what happens sometimes is, we'll share a little tidbit because, hey, we're running out of time here in this episode, and people will take it out of context and misunderstand it. And I feel this is such an important discovery that we're going to share at Passover. It really is an important discovery, especially for your ministry, Michael, and the things you've been teaching. But I think for anybody who really wants to understand what it's going to be about, I can't tell them, we really need to lay out all the evidence. Because if we just give them a tidbit, I guarantee you that people are going to take it out of context. And so if we lay out all the evidence, we're going to build a solid case and put it in context. And then people can say whatever they want. Opinion will be left out of it, right? And look, there's always a certain element of these things where you have to decide for yourself. This is my motto, Michael, as a Karaite Jew. Search well in the scripture and do not blindly rely on anyone's opinion. So what we've done is we've put together an international team of people who are searching on the specific topic in the Gospels, I can't even say more. And we're going to present the evidence to people, and they can decide for themselves. And
this stuff, manuscripts have been hidden for hundreds of years, and now you're going to present this.
Michael, they weren't just hidden for hundreds of years. I feel like I can't even hold it back.
You have to.
There was literally a manuscript that was locked. Access was not available, and within a very short period of time, it was unlocked. Like literally there was a symbol of a padlock and they said, you can't access this. And within 3 hours, we had access to the manuscript. I can't go into any more of it. It's exciting stuff. We're going to save it for Pesach. Okay. But I want to end with Isaiah 56 because we're really running out of time here. Okay. Isaiah 56 is one of my favorite passages. I've preached on it many times. But listen how relevant this is to Amos 9 and to...
Now, what we're going to get into in the book of Acts.
And in this coin, right, and to Acts 15 and Acts 21, what we're going to get into next time, hopefully. But into this coin, the king, he puts the name of Yehovah. In Isaiah 56, it says, I will bring them to my holy mountain, and I will make them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their peace offerings will be accepted upon my altar, for my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. That's verse 7. That's all most people ever read. But let's read verse 6. And the sons of the Gentiles who join themselves to Yehovah to serve him. We'll talk more about what that means, sons of Gentiles, next time. Can we do that? But here's the key for me. Ule'ahava et shem Yehovah. And to love the name of Yehovah. To be his servants. So here was this king in Denmark, and he only knew what he knew. He was raised in the Lutheran church, coming out of the Catholic church. and he didn't fully even understand it, but he had this burning love for the God of Israel and for the name of Yehovah, and he put it on his coin to show, I don't know what it is. I don't fully understand it, but in my heart, this name burns, and I want the whole world to know it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a fulfillment of prophecy that we can see unfolding before us in the record of history.
Well, Nehemiah, will you close with putting the name on the people?
Absolutely. Yehovah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come and share this with the people, to learn about how your name was glorified among the nations. Yevarechecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Yehovah panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Yehovah panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. May Yehovah give you peace. Amen.
Amen. Well, the adventure's just begun. We're going to ramp this thing up, and the whole Passover weekend is going to be a time of great discovery. But until then, Shabbat Shalom. Shavua Tov. Have a good week, and we'll see you back here for a little bit more of the story before Passover on Shabbat Night Live.